Hello everyone, it is Jayden and welcome to The Alpha, the show where we talk about the hottest topics in pop culture and sports. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button on the video, and if you enjoy my commentary and myself truly as always, be sure to tap that subscribe button and to hit that notification bell to get notified when all my videos go live. I love you guys so much. Peace, love, and positivity always, y'all. See ya.
So we had an article that was released by Entertainment Weekly last week where it was a magazine release as well, where they were talking about the Fantastic Four and essentially just getting the audience a new look into the movie. And there was some political things that were brought up, and it is scaring a lot of the fandom. It's scaring me as well. So we are going to look at the article, and I'm going to pinpoint the exact aspect of the article that is in question, and we are going to review it together. The actor, Joseph Quinn, who is portraying Johnny Storm, was essentially wanting to deviate away from what the Johnny Storm of old has been known for. Johnny is Marvel's archetype of a hothead teenager, but what exactly that means has been open to interpretation over the years. In the 2005 and 2007 Fantastic Four movies, for instance, Chris Evans played the character as a skirt-chasing scalawag. Quinn wanted to do something different. He's a man that leads with a lot of bravado, which can be upfront sometimes, but he's also funny, Quinn says. Myself and Marvel Studios' Kevin Feige were speaking about previous iterations of him and where we are culturally. He was branded as this womanizing, devil-may-care guy, but is that sexy these days? I don't think so. This version of Johnny is less callous with others people's feelings, and hopefully there's a self-awareness about what's driving that attention-seeking behavior. Johnny is the little brother of the Fantastic Four, but that's not the quality that defines him. He's really smart, blah, 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 blah. So that's essentially what we're going to put into question. What troubles me about this is the fact that Marvel and Disney will never learn. What have I talked about with the movie industry? I have a podcast that is going to be released, and I just talked about this in the movie industry and the state of the movie industry. Give the audience what they want. This movie, specifically, is set in the 60s. The first comic book for the Fantastic Four, which was the very first family ever created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. That comic was released in 1961 of November. The movie, again, is set in the 60s. Wouldn't you think that you would try to do an accurate portrayal of the Fantastic Four, a movie that is already set in the 60s? The comic book for them came out in the 60s. But no, we got to modernize the film for the modern audience. And I've argued against this many times. We don't want that. Most audiences don't want this political aspect stuff in the film. Here's the comments that he made. He accused Johnny Storm of being branded as a womanizer. But is that sexy these days? I don't know, he quoted. Yes, it is sexy these days. What have us, including me, what has fans of Johnny always stated? We love the fact that he's this guy. He is a brat, essentially. He's this character that he does whatever he wants, whenever he wants to, no matter what Reed and Sue always says, especially his sister Sue. Chris Evans' portrayal of him in 2005 and 2007, I loved it. I imagine most of the audience did love it. A lot of fans of the Fantastic Four team. Why would you deviate away from that just because you're trying to be more sensitive? No. I tell everybody, most of the audience and most of the fans would love that portrayal of Johnny. That's what gravitates us to the character, because he's different compared to the other three of the members of the Fantastic Four. That's why in the 2005 and 2007 portrayal of the film, his chemistry with Ben specifically was great. The funny comments, even though it was a little sensitive, you can say, but the funny comments he was making about him wanting to have sexual relation with his girlfriend, and he is a rock and he can't do it. That's funny. It was hilarious. And even though, again, it's a sensitive aspect to the film, but he brought up, I think, as well, the fact that she was blind and can't see. So I was like, okay, how are you going to, how does that affect your relationship? Is it more sensitive to today's world? Yes, but it was funny. It was good entertainment. I just don't understand why you would change that. That's who Johnny Storm is. He's been that way for 60 years. And now all of a sudden, we get a new adaptation of the Fantastic Four. I'm excited for it. A lot of the fans are excited for it. And then you go on to do something like this and change the way Johnny acts. I just reacted to the trailer they just released. It seems like I can tell that I think Johnny is still going to be funny to a certain degree, but I don't think he's going to be that just, I'm going to do whatever I want whenever I want to. I'm going to just do what I do and go as I go throughout my day, and I'm not going to listen to what nobody says. I love that about the Johnny character in the old interpretation of the film. I thought that's what made the movie work. Chris Evans' portrayal of the film was what made me gravitate towards the film. But it's very disheartening to know that they're taking away that aspect of the film. I don't get it. I don't understand it. And we're going to move on to Vanessa Kirby's bit of the piece here, because I can argue that this part of it is more concerning to me, because it's not about, and I can say this because Jessica Alba's portrayal of Sue Storm for me was a little too over-sexualized. I can agree on that front. But the way Vanessa Kirby has talked about the character and the way she's going about it, why? So we're going to talk about it, and we're going to read about it right here. Achieving global political peace sounds only slightly harder than synthesizing the decades-long fictional history of Sue Storm. As Marvel's first female superhero, she's been part of the Fantastic Four since its first issue, but back then she carried the relatively demeaning codename of Invisible Girl. Could only turn herself invisible and mostly function as a damsel in distress. Vanessa Kirby went on to say, and I quote, "If you played an exact 60s Sue Storm today, everyone would think she was a bit of a doormat. So figuring out how to capture the essence of what she represented to each generation, where the gender politics were different, and embodied that today was one of the greatest joys of this. Over the years, Sue evolved in several ways. Her abilities expanded from individual invisibility to control over electromagnetic light and force fields, making her arguably the team's most powerful leader. At various times, she became a mother, a leader, and a skimpily clad dominatrix named Malice. Synthesizing all these aspects into a single character was a lot of fun for Kirby, who says motherhood in particular became the key through line. Indeed, Sue's pregnancy will play a significant part in the plot of First Steps. Matt and I were really aware that there haven't really been a mother with a baby in these superhero archetypes women have been getting. One of the things I love most from Sue's history is when she becomes Malice and all the dark stuff comes out. I was obsessed with that chapter of her life, so I wanted to make sure there was tones of Malice in there with her, and there wasn't a stereotype of goody sweet mother. I've always been interested in the mess of femininity, and how can you be both? How can you be all the things? Not just a tough, invisible, powerful woman, but also a mother who gives birth, which is a superhero act itself. As I just previously stated, I wasn't a fan of Jessica Alba's portrayal of the character in the one regard that she was sexualized a lot. But it seems that Vanessa Kirby is wanting to just get involved in a lot of gender politics when it comes to her portrayal of Sue Storm. So, something that I am worried about in this movie is the fact that she is going to be pregnant. Why Marvel decided to do this, I don't know. You haven't had a movie in 15, almost 20 years for the Fantastic Four. New cast, new characters and all. And you're going to go ahead and establish that she's pregnant. Already. Haven't had Vanessa Kirby in the film, and we're already just going to introduce another family member into the Fantastic Four. We haven't had a chance to sit and enjoy Pedro Pascal. I don't remember the guy's name that's playing the Thing, and Joseph Quinn and Vanessa Kirby. We just can't enjoy them for a couple of movies until we got to deal with the fact that we're already going to have a new introduction into the family, and Sue being pregnant and Reed Richards being pregnant. I don't agree with that decision. I think this is more than likely going to set up the Young Avengers aspect that has been revealed in the concept leaks, even though the Russo brothers did come out and say that those were not true. But with this news, it makes it all but true, in my opinion. And just a couple of things that she said. A thought of a regular Sue Storm in the 60s wouldn't be appropriate. This is the same thing I was saying about Johnny Storm. The comic book was made in the 60s. This movie is made in the 60s. Why would you not do a regular Sue Storm? Like, I just don't get it. Don't mess with the source material. Stay true to the source material. Has Sue Storm been pregnant in the comics? Yes, but she was not pregnant in the 60s version. She was not pregnant in the 60s. Stay with that interpretation. Stay with the interpretation of the Fantastic Four most audiences are accustomed to. We don't need any type of gender politics involved in this movie. We just really don't. So you're essentially changing up two of the most vital characters that we originally fell in love with in the first original movie. I loved Chris Evans. I'm sure a lot of people love Jessica Alba as well. And in general, Johnny Storm and Sue are my favorites in comparison to The Thing and Reed Richards. But that's just me. It's disappointing. It is very disappointing. So that we're just going to explore gender politics with Vanessa Kirby then. We're going to explore her being a mother. And the more troubling thing that just bothered me as well is she called being a mother a superhero act. Really? We got to incorporate being a mom and compare it to being a superhero nowadays. Okay, this may be a hot take for me personally, but I don't know what fighting crime and defeating Doctor Doom and defending the world from the Galactus in the upcoming film, and how does that compare to being a mother? I don't know. But just Marvel's never going to learn. It's heartbreaking to know that she's going to be pregnant, and I've saw in the trailer, so it seems like we're going to be able to see her without being pregnant and be able to fight crime and do what Sue needs to do. It seems probably that she's probably going to be the leader of the team, because I was saying this earlier. I don't think I'm gonna like Pedro Pascal's Reed Richards. I don't think I am. So far, I've not cared for the way that Pedro Pascal has acted out the character. It just don't scream Reed Richards to me. He don't scream this nerdy, just weird character. So far from what I've seen in the trailer, I just don't like any aspect of it. But altogether, Gender politics is involved in this film. Obviously, we know that they're not going with Norrin Rad as well as the Silver Surfer. I guess it's going to be his wife. So, look, we knew politics was already going to in this film to begin with, and they just wanted to throw some more on top of that with this news with Johnny and Vanessa Kirby, Sue Storm. The movie is still going to do well. This ain't going to be a Snow White situation where just this is going to hurt the movie in any aspect or any way. I don't. People like me and many other Marvel fans of the Marvel Universe, Cinematic Universe, and fans of the Fantastic Four are going to see this film. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I do think this film is going to make $500 to $600 million. I don't see a situation where it's going to make over that. I do think there is a possibility, though. A real possibility. I think Superman might make more than Fantastic Four. I think it will. But I don't see this article and this news deviating audiences away from the film, because even myself, I still want to see the film because I love Fantastic Four. It's just Disney just cannot help themselves. And they won't learn. You think they would have learned from Snow White, but given this movie's already been made before the Snow White stuff came out, maybe they'll learn their lesson with Avengers Doomsday. I don't think they're going to learn their lesson with Avengers Doomsday either. It's just disappointing. I hope Hollywood just understands, but it's Hollywood. Hollywood's going to do whatever they want. They're going to continue to do the crap that they're doing, and they're just not. They're never going to understand that you got to know who your target audience is. Your target audience is hardcore Marvel fans who have been here since 2008 when Iron Man was released, who has endured the MCU since the golden age of the Infinity Saga to the crap that is the multiverse saga right now as we speak. You would think that they would cater to those who have been with them through thick and thin. But no, they're more worried about changing up the Fantastic Four, changing up the source material, what the original characters were, and try to appeal to the modern audience in the hopes of making more money. If only Marvel really understood how big their support and their fans are. If you would stick to the source material, you would make an easy $700-800 million in this film. Easily. The much anticipation that was going into this project. I mean, with the status of the MCU along and putting the Fantastic Four in it, and you're setting up Doctor Doom in the coming, easy $800 million. But they just can't help themselves. And Marvel's going to continue to Marvel. And I do see myself enjoying this film. Don't get me wrong. The Johnny thing's got me hurting because I loved Chris Evans' portrayal of Johnny. I really did. And it's just something to hope that Marvel can fix in the future.